and the thumbsticks, desyncing with Bluetooth, a lot of issues like the controller won't turn on their PlayStation. So when a lot of people were complaining about the same things that were being shown and displayed in that video, my friend canceled his pre-order and he ordered it directly from Scuff. So he called them up to cancel, and like they didn't even try to like retain him or ask him why he was canceling. It's like they knew why he was canceling because
he said they didn't even try to the retention team or nothing.
Yeah, and so like
buddy.
Right.
So yeah, we'll give you your money back.
So he said he talked to them and then because he still wants it, and he's like, if you guys do a revision or two, just is there going to be like an update on your website so I can go pick it up then? And then the dude and who knows, this guy just might be customer service. He may not know anything, but the guy said basically, well, if we do that, yeah, we'll update the website. I'm like, if so you're just going to keep selling a defective controller? That sounds really ridiculous.
Yeah,
I expect more from Scuff, so I think they probably will update it, and I'm interested in getting it when I know like a lot of these issues have been addressed. But I'm really interested in seeing what you how you feel about it, because it's really disappointing. I really wanted a PlayStation controller with the asymmetric thumbsticks. And
as soon as I saw that controller, I was like, I need that. And then my wife looked at me, was like, "Why do you need that? You barely play your PlayStation." I said, "Because I'm a fucking gamer, and I just
don't question me, woman."
I was like, that's the whole. That's why these companies do well, because the people that the diehard people that just care about gaming and don't care about a particular platform, when something new comes out that will benefit you on that platform, you want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is very true. And we are live. On that note, we are live. Welcome back to another Basement Radio K podcast on this beautiful Wednesday evening. And want to give a big shout out to Mr. Eric Jackson.
What up, fam? What up?
After a 2-week hiatus, man, we've missed you. By any chance, you're not in the path of the hurricane, are you?
No. It's very, very far west. Like we're not even feeling any effects from it.
Okay.
But hey, I mean, it's early in the season, so we'll take a turn soon enough. Probably like, I can't make it, guys. I got to put up shutters.
Yeah, that was a real thing. Remember that? That happened last year.
Yeah, man. It happens almost every year.
With the Destiny, I actually told Eric he should do a YouTube video where he's doing a Destiny 2 unboxing video out in the hurricane.
Oh, that's right. That's when I got my the Destiny Pro, and I couldn't even unbox it because I was sitting here trying to do shutters and everything else.
Yeah.
And we had power for like a week and a half after that.
You should have shut that shit on your phone outside on your car.
Yeah,
with the wind blowing at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. The conditions are terrible out here, but I'm gonna unbox this PlayStation.
Oh man!
To let you know how much of a gamer I really am.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that kid that was playing Fortnite in North Carolina during the hurricane. And I mean, it's funny, but then also not funny because he was being really, really unsafe. His little sister was basically scared out of her mind.
Oh my God.
They were all like, hey, we need to leave or get into the basement or something. And he was like top 10 at Fortnite at the time. I gotta finish this. And then when the reporter was like, really? You stayed and played Fortnite while the hurricane was coming? Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, well, hey, I won. So
at least won. That's dedication right there, man.
Hey, I'm saying, for real, that man has his priorities all right.
You know what, Slow-Mo? That guy probably doesn't know anything about news websites or anything. He just knows about Fortnite. So that kind of answers the question from the poll we put up last week.
No, I just think he was being a kid and not really thinking. I don't think this really answers anything. But we can bring up the poll.
Let's talk about the poll. So, Slow-Mo, for those who didn't see the poll, can you kind of give us a quick recap and give us the results?
Sure. Let me go. Give me a second to go find it. But yeah, there was the poll was in regards to our really good discussion we had last week about what makes a hardcore gamer, and let me find it. I made here's the tweet I made. It says, so on Brat, we had a great discussion about what makes a casual and hardcore gamer. Gaming Forte and Enrique feel a large number of time in one game can make you hardcore. B Money and I say hardcore gamers play far more than one game and take a bigger interest in gaming. What do you think? And so we had the poll results kind of go in ascending order. I guess the descending order. So the lowest is the first choice, came in at 8%. There's a total of 84 votes. And 8%, a lot of time in one game. People chose that. 15% was interest in all gaming. 24% is play a lot of games and just play a lot of games. And 53% was all the above. So I'm taking that as people are saying that if you have all of those above, then that makes you a hardcore gamer.
You know how I took that? I take it as, like they said, all of the above, meaning if you are any of these things, you are a hardcore gamer.
Oh boy. See, this is my problem with Twitter polls, man, because there's just not enough characters to really, like, you're really trying to, like,
happy that it wasn't a lot enough characters, because you would have skewed that thing would have been skewed.
I wasn't trying to skew anything. All I wanted was trying to be as clear as possible on what the choices were. And so all the above, because like I even discussed this with Luca a couple of days ago, or maybe it was earlier today, I can't remember, but she took it as like what I said, that it was all of the, all these choices are together, whereas you took it differently. So it's just, I just wish that I could have explained it better, and I'll take that on me. That's my fault for not being as clear as possible as it will be clearer, because I don't know if I did my best, but hey.
No, it was a good poem, man. I got what you're trying to do.
You know what you could have put? You could have put, for the instead of saying all of the above, you could have said characteristics from every poll, every option above. Meaning they had to have a character.
See, that's the problem. When I said it's limited, like I didn't have enough characters.
I mean, you could have put that in there.
If I would put characteristics, that would have took up all my characters. Like that.
You said that would have took my whole list.
That would have took up all my characters. Look, for each choice, you only have like 24 characters to work with, if that. It's like all of the above is like all of the words I could use. Like, okay. Yeah, like a lot of times, like with interest in all gaming, I had to like kind of play around with that, because like what I was trying to say initially, I used too many characters, so I had to do some editing. It's just, Twitter don't really give you a lot of characters to work with stuff, which is fine. It's just, next time I'll figure out a different way to do it.
So,
sweet.
Me and Rap was right. Me and Enrique was right, so I got you.
No. But now that we have Eric here, maybe Eric can be our tiebreaker.
Oh boy.
Okay, give me the deets again.
All right.
Okay, so all right, go ahead, Forte.
I'll say my part, and you say your part.
Okay.
So I'm not. This is the thing. I'm a character. I'm caveating this. We are not saying that you cannot be a hardcore gamer if you just play a bunch of games. We're just saying that if you play one particular game like 6,000-7,000 hours, that does qualify you as being a hardcore gamer. You can be a hardcore gamer and play just one game. You don't have to play thousands of other games to be considered a hardcore gamer. That one game is enough to actually characterize you as that. And that's what we were saying.
Okay. Right. Now, what me and B, the correct members of this podcast were saying was that what disqualifies that are people who just play Candy Crush a whole lot, or just play Fortnite a whole lot, or just play just any old game that is just a time sink, and not really. They don't even consider. They don't even call themselves gamers. These kind of people, and so that kind of disqualifies it. What we were saying,
I like how you
spent that, because we don't even consider those people gamers. That you play Candy Crush.
It disqualifies your argument, right?
No. What was the game we were talking? No, listen. The game we speak. What was the game that was
interrupt you, Forte?
Go ahead, man.
I let you speak. I didn't interrupt you, and you're not allowing me to speak.
Let's let him finish.
Now, what we were saying was being able to play like a game a whole lot isn't enough. Mm-hmm. Like playing a whole bunch of games, being interested and invested in the gaming in general, in the industry, the community, that makes you a hardcore gamer. It's way more than just, hey, I played this one game a whole lot. And so that's where we were coming from, as that will qualify someone as a hardcore gamer. Did I miss anything, B?
No, that's kind of where we were at.
Oh, what's up, B?
They were kind of arguing the fact that, if you played one particular game a bunch of hours, and that qualifies you as a hardcore gamer.
Right.
And I said, my son he's got like 300 hours in a Fortnite. I don't consider him a hardcore gamer. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where my argument is at.
There's a difference between 300 hours and 5,000.
And that's all he plays is like Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, that's all he plays, but I would never consider him a hardcore gamer. You know what I mean?
You consider him more like casual hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, he's a casual gamer. Like he plays it because all his friends do. You know what I mean? It's
right.
So they're playing, that's what they'll play. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a vested interest in Fortnite or any other particular game. He just plays whatever his friends are playing.
Okay. So you guys kind of argue the fact that for you guys, like hardcore gamers rack lots of hours in various different games. Like they complete a lot of different games. They may rack up a lot of hours in whatever multiplayer game. Like they're kind of just all over the place. And Enrique and Forte say as long as somebody's rocking major hours in one game, that still makes them hardcore. I got you. Right. Okay, I got you. I kind of fall in the second camp. I kind of fall because I put this on it. Like I'll take my cousin for example. Like he plays 2K. That's like his thing, right? Mm-hmm. And every now and again he'll hit me up. He'll be like, all right, like he knows, like I know what he likes. So I'll say, hey, the new Uncharted came out. There's an Infamous, there's whatever. He likes certain games like that, but that's few and far between for him, right? Mm-hmm. All he rocks is 2K, but I don't consider him hardcore. And I'm talking about he locks like major hours into it. Versus somebody who's kind of like all over the place, like how we are. I consider us hardcore because we eat, sleep, breathe, and everything else. This stuff.
Facts.
Right.
Sounds like E is with me. And sounds to me like Forte Enrique have taken the L. Whoa. I got some
those loaves on the mantle, man.
Bread right over here for you.
There are no loaves on the mantle right now. No. Perhaps I'll agree that there's probably different levels of what constitutes a gamer, hardcore gamer.
That's what I said.
Well, I mean,
my mom plays Word with Friends. She probably had like 4,000 hours in Words with Friends. I don't consider her hard.
But that's not a gamer. That's not game. That's not a game.
It's a game.
That's a game.
But wait, isn't that a video game though?
Consider her a gamer, but not hardcore.
Not a character. You literally spoke and said exactly the opposite of what we were talking about. We didn't talk about Candy. We didn't say anybody that played Candy Crush.
We talked about Fortnite.
No, we wouldn't even talk about that. I was talking about me and the whole me in general because I have over 8,000 hours in Destiny.
Yeah, let's just qualify Candy Crush and Words with Friends.
Hey, but we'll talk Forte, you notice how slow-mo spin that? Those people who play Candy Crush. They're not gamers. They're those people. They're not Americans.
Yeah, that's right. I am a gaming elitist. Like, those people, those common, there's those peasants.
Wow.
Play Fortnite. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: would you consider? Okay, so this is the difference. So you said your friend that plays 2K or your cousin who plays 2K,
right?
He's a hardcore 2K player, right? Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
So just because he's not playing other games as much as he's playing 2K doesn't make him hardcore at just gaming in general, because he is playing a game. That is a game he's playing.
I consider him a gamer because he is playing a game a lot. But ask him the average question on a day-to-day, he has no idea about like Twitter game.
Right. But do you have to be okay? So is there a difference between being an informed gamer? Wait.
Don't try to change his mind.
Because I think a person. No, because I think this is what I think. I think people like us that are in podcasts talking about this stuff, and people that play a bunch of or have knowledge about a bunch of different games is an informed gamer. Like the informed gamers are even higher than hardcore gamers to me, because you actually know a lot about gaming and not just the one particular games you play.
I like that you gave us that elite status. I like it.
We are. I mean, I feel like I feel like being an informed gamer is way more important than being a actual fucking hardcore gamer, because a hardcore gamer could be anything. Right. You can play just one game. You can play a bunch of games. But you're not sharing your opinion with anybody. You know, do you think journalists are hardcore gamers? Most of them are informed gamers because they know about it, but they may play a bunch of different games, meaning they're not really hardcore into it. They just might be very informed about all the stuff they're talking about, which makes them. That's why people trust their opinions. Well, not so much lately, but that's why people used to trust their opinions more than anything else, because they were informed about the things they were talking about and they played a bunch of games.
Hey, real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Welcome everyone. The live chat is popping as it is every week, and actually Ryan Landis just brought up a great counterpoint to what Slow-Mo was saying. He said, Ryan says, does that mean that an athlete that only plays one sport is not an athlete?
No, because if you're an athlete, if you're a professional athlete, that means you're a professional at what you do. So you're the highest. That's just like being an informed gamer.
Yeah.
If you're a gamer.
Yeah,
you're the highest level of what you can be in that particular genre.
But there is a different word for people that do a whole bunch of different, like Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders that play multiple sports. That's a level above fucking professional athlete.
No, I still consider them athlete.
They're still a professional athlete.
No, they are, but they have more of a distinction. Like people, I can forget what they used to call those type of athletes that play multiple sports and stuff.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're still an athlete, and you could take many basketball players, put them in a football jersey, and they can still perform on a football field.
By the way, Ryan's saying
that's what an athlete is. An athlete is usually versatile in multiple sports.
I don't agree with that, man. I've had some guys that played college basketball were terrible football.
Well, I know some guys, and there are very famous athletes that could have easily gone, that were played football or basketball and could have easily gone to the other sport. Like Allen Iverson was a highly recruited player in football, but he went basketball. Same thing for Randy Moss. Randy Moss was highly recruited as a wide receiver, but he chose. I'm sorry. Randy Moss was highly recruited as a small forward, and he went football. So it's, usually the guys that you see out there on the football field, they play multiple sports, but they chose the one they were the best at.
Right.
Like you see quarterbacks in the NFL that in college they played baseball. And there's some pro players who were drafted by Major League Baseball teams while they were still playing football.
But he also said he didn't say professional. He just said, so like, what's the difference between being a athletic? Well, what's the difference between what is an athlete to you guys? What is an athlete?
I just explained it. It's someone who can play multiple sports. If you're an athlete and athletic, that means that a lot of times you can be versatile in different sports. You don't just have to be great at playing basketball or football or soccer.
You may excel at one, but things kind of come naturally.
Okay, so but who's to say that these people that see, this is the thing though, who's to say a person that plays Call of Duty nonstop wouldn't be good at Battlefield or Destiny or even Fortnite? to be.
But that's
general,
why you
just
consider them
because
a gamer.
J Street just came with it. J Street said it. J Street, he said, I think people who are not open to play anything but one type of game are considered just a gamer, but not a hardcore gamer.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, you know, like informed gamers. Like, I'll give you another example outside of my cousin. I have a buddy who his thing is Castlevania. Like, he can school you in Castlevania all day, every day. Like, he's informed up to the wazoo on that.
Yeah.
And he plays games. I mean, he prefers like playing on Switch, but he wouldn't at all call himself a hardcore gamer. Like, when he talks to me, he hits me up to ask me questions about XYZ. But if I need to know something about Castlevania, I go to him.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree. We're not going to hold the whole show down with this one topic because as of right now, I know where me and the host of this show, I know where we sit at. So we'll move on. We'll move on.
You know what, man? I'm just going to say that
you gonna pull rank, Enrique?
Forte and I are right. No, I'm just joking. No, you know, it's a great conversation. Like, everyone's making points. I mean, I think we all had those are all valid points.
Enrique about to cap and all this thing.
We're about to what?
About to cap and all it.
I respect everybody's opinions in here.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, man. I got this calendar. Got this calendar of my daily activities.
My friends, Bobo,
my Slow-Mo. Yes, Slow-Mo and I went out and had a few beers, and I still like beer, but
like, this is a circus perpetrated by the events of 2013.
Yeah,
Microsoft conference.
Yeah, this is an abomination. I'm trying to homogenize my hypothesis.
Eric, have you ever blacked out? Huh? Have you?
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the first topic. So Sony has finally listened to gamers after God knows how long. Probably the most requested change thing that I think PlayStation gamers have wanted. We can now change our names. Yay! Who's excited? No one's excited.
I don't need to be excited about this because my name has been my name since day one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I never had the desire to ever change my name. So,
well, you also didn't pick
butt munchers and
right.
or Bubba Finch because you spelled it wrong.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Have at it. Enjoy your name change.
Slow-Mo's PlayStation name is Fartmaster.
Yeah. My PlayStation name is actually I ate the box, so I need to definitely change that.
Is your PlayStation name really that?
I'm kidding. That's not my name.
Yeah, it is. That's vulgar, man.
I'm about to go search that shit right now.
It is now.
I'm about to go on PlayStation right now and look that up.
Can you imagine playing like Call of Duty with Slow-Mo on PlayStation and someone coming out and saying, "Who are you playing?" "I'm playing with I Ate the Box."
That's such a great name. I know it would get blocked immediately. But no, I just want to kind of have, because I changed like my name on Xbox is different than my name on PlayStation. I would just like it to match, you know. So I mean, that's
where I'm at.
Yeah, that's why I would change my name, and you know it. Other than that, like, I will change it one time and that'll be it. And the first one's supposed to be free, so there's that. But you know, Sam just brought up something in the chat that I wanted to touch on.
Right.
It says it's only guaranteed to work with games post April 2018. So that's God of War on, and may break things on your account. I mean, I'm gonna need Sony. Now, I appreciate them doing this, stepping up and doing it, but I'm gonna need them to hire some database administrators and get this worked out, because
it's too late,
to come out and say that, I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, like, Slim, I don't mean to interrupt you, man, but the live chat is hilarious. You know, as we were talking about the Kavanaugh, Don't Call Me Dad says, "I'm going to go do some reps at Tobin's house." And Ryan Landis is saying, I hope I can change my Switch name SW, and he's got like a bunch of numbers. He's like, it just doesn't sound cool. Ryan, that might be the best comment of the in the live chat tonight, man. I'm sorry, Slim. I just wanted to point that out because I was dying. I thought it was hilarious. But go ahead, man.
I'm about to literally screenshot that and put it on Twitter right now.
It's just it's and they didn't give us all the information yet, so I don't know if like while it's in preview program, they're going to be getting feedback from the people who are in preview program, and if someone says, hey, look, I can't play Uncharted 4 because of my name change, and then they take that and they work on it so that works. I hope that is happening. They didn't really get into too many details, but they said, oh, it may not work. But then I also didn't see, hey, we're going to make sure it does work, which is problematic to me, because don't present what people want and then say, well, hey, look, we gave it to you, but you may not be able to play even your PS4 games that came out in 2017. That's some bullshit. You need to get on the ball.
Y'all can change y'all name, but y'all ain't gonna be able to play no games.
Hey, that's how when I was reading through it, I was like, and I think I said to you guys earlier, I said, this reads, it feels like I'm watching football and they're doing one of those like commercials for like Lanesta. It's like, you can take this to fix this issue, but all this other stuff is about to wreck you. You're gonna stop your running nose, but you may start bleeding out your ass. I was like,
this will cure your diabetes, but your liver might explode.
right. Well, can't do nothing about them kidneys. Yeah. So it's weird, man. It's like I hope that the whole beta thing is to kind of figure it out, but I think you're about to go into that 14 and say like it might not come out the other side any better.
Bro, that ain't changing.
Right.
That it is what it is on that. Sony is a hardware company, and them being a hardware company means that they are not really attuned to the software side of things. And this is a PS3 situation. PS3 was a great system, but the infrastructure that they set up on that system was the most backwards thing they could ever do. And this is the reason you will probably not be able to carry over some of your trophies from PS3. Because I think that rumor that came out last week about that, or a couple of weeks ago, I think that's absolutely true. The fact that they didn't say what the issues will be that you will have from this is kind of worrying. Because if you change your name, since those games are tied to your email and to your name, will you still have access to those games sometimes? Are they saying that some of these games that you probably bought on your, PlayStation 4 before that date, you won't have access to? They did make sure that they said that you will be able to revert back to your original name at any time for free, and that will cure any of 90% of the issues that you are having. But if that is something that you have to do for all your older games, which won't matter for any newer games that come out, I just think that sucks, but I mean, they have to do something to, rectify this.
Hey, Forte, one thing, and again, we're going to need some clarification for this, but the part where they say you can revert back to your original ID for free at any time, but in parenthesis it says you will only be able to revert once during the preview program.
Yes.
So is that the same after the preview program? Is it just going to be, hey, you can revert back one time, but that's it?
Well, what about the whole thing where they said, oh, and if you can make it so you can toggle, you can make it so if you want people to know that you changed your name and they know who you are, you can have it so your old name still shows up. But if you decide to do that, you can never toggle it off. I'm like, huh? What? Okay, that makes no absolute sense right there. But then again, this goes back to the whole thing that Sony's a hardware company, and they don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to software.
Yeah, it's just, to be frank, they're half-assing this, and it's great they're giving people this option, but go all out and do it correctly.
I don't think they can
be. They look, it can be done.
I don't think it's half-assing. I just think
I think they can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think they can do it.
I know they can do it. I know it. Let me clarify.
So there's a way.
I know it's possible.
All that garbage infrastructure that I'm going off you because I know you would know of all people.
Okay, but all I'm saying is I know it's possible to be done. Now I agree with you guys that Sony likely just doesn't want to put the time and effort in for what could be some very little monetary payoff, like, okay, $10 after the first one. Well, how many people are going to do a second name change after that? Probably much smaller percentage than the people who want to change their name right now. Everyone is clamoring for that. So they're probably looking at the numbers and like, the man hours we're going to spend on really redoing our databases so that PSN functions a lot more versatile and this functions correctly. That's going to be pretty problematic. So let's just leave it like this. Give them the option. You can take that risk if you want. If you don't want to take that risk, continue to be I ate the box.
Oh boy.
Those are your options.
Yo.
Yeah, someone says I can't pronounce his name. Elkus speaks, probably butcher his name. He says backwards compatibility can be done with performance improvements to boot. This can be done by Sony. I don't know if I agree with that comment because, to Forte's point, Sony's not a software company. I think PSN is an example of that they're not, and this is probably, like Sam said in the chat, this is probably best case scenario.
Yeah, I think it is best case scenario.
Yeah,
it almost sounds like, in a way, with them saying like it's kind of like you say God of War going forward. It's almost like they're trying to now start from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as the years go by, it kind of like phases out the further you get away from PS3. And it sounds like, for all intents and purposes, PS3 is just like that albatross around the neck. It's just like they can't get away from it. Like everything that they make decisions on in that system are hampering everything that they kind of want to do now.
Yeah. That's why I think that rumor from a couple of weeks ago is kind of true, because why would you come out and say that all games after April 1st and some major titles before that will be compatible with this?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason they put that wording in there, because would they had to come out and say that if that would have never came out a couple of weeks ago as a rumor? I don't know. They probably would have worded it a little bit different. They probably would have said something like, there may be issues with the service going forward, and we will iron that stuff out in the preview program. And then when it actually launches for everybody, they'll do just like they did when PlayStation Plus became a thing you had to pay for. They'll give you some great announcement. Then they'll also say, hey, you can change your name, but some of your games may not work anymore. People will be so happy that they heard that they could change their name and completely misheard the other part. But
yeah. I know for certain the few people I've talked to about this today only read like the first 3 paragraphs. They didn't read the part where it started with, this feature is compatible with PS4 games originally published after April 1st. They didn't read that part, and they were just like, wait, what? Because that's basically like over 90% of your catalog for most PlayStation gamers. That's a large number of games that you may want to go back and play. Like I think I probably play Until Dawn once a year, because that's been my favorite game on PlayStation this gen. What if I can't play that again? And they're supposed to be making, from what the rumors say, PS5 is supposed to be backwards compatible to PS4. But I mean, what can I play?
All right.
Nothing.
God of War on. So God of War, Detroit,
Spider-Man.
Yep.
There you go.
Pretty much it. Other PlayStation news, guys. Actually, before I move on to the next topic, anyone have anything else to say about PSN ID, PlayStation Network ID?
Happy that they're doing it, man. I'm just happy that some people can get their spelling corrections done and fixed. Hopefully you're a person that just got a PS4 and like in the last year or so. This won't affect you that much, but
right.
You got to applaud the effort. We got out earlier today, man. Got to applaud the effort.
Competition is good. Microsoft's been doing this since day one almost.
Yep. So they're
like
trying.
Said it was coming.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Layton isn't a liar anymore. He did say he did say my next PSX, so I guess even if there was a PSX, this might be true.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Let's see, other PlayStation news. Sony announced that it's working on its next console. They didn't officially say they call it the PS5, but we know it's the PlayStation 5. And I don't know, what do you guys think this thing's gonna launch? I know we talked a little bit about in the DM.
I still say 2020.
I think 2019.
I don't know, man. I'm leaning more and more towards 2019.
The fact that they put out that there will be a showcase in February of 2019, meaning the system will come out in 2019. That's what they did with the PS4. They showcased it with the technical specs in February, and they showed the actual box at E3, and the system launched at November. So
did they say that?
There's a couple of articles out there from people that are that talked about it, saying that they did say there will be a technical reveal in February.
Okay. See, I didn't know that part. So hearing that, then okay. So I might back up a bit then.
Yeah, so I just been kind of going off the rumors that
I mean, you got inside sources, man. That's what rumors.
That CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk is supposed to launch sometime next year, and it was going to be a cross-gen game.
Next
so that would make sense. And then Call of Duty is rumored to be a next-gen game as well for next year. So it makes sense. 2019 could be where we start next gen.
Yeah. There was that Infinity Ward job announcement, I think on LinkedIn, where it said the game the candidate who gets the job will be working on would be a cross-gen game. And you know how like they got 3 studios that make Call of Duty, and Infinity Ward is up next year. So that means that whoever they hired for that position is working on a game that's going to come out next year, and it's cross-gen, which pretty much means it's going to be on Xbox One, PS4, PS5, and maybe even Scarlet. Whatever Scarlet systems are. So, I mean, that I thought that was a pretty telling confirmation that we were at least getting one next gen system next year. When that came out a couple months ago, but this is, I mean, Sony coming out and saying they're definitely working on it. When usually they're very tight-lipped about what they're doing, is pretty telling to me.
My inside sources say San Francisco is a location in February, and this thing is going down.
Well, Sam said in the chat that there was no announcement like that made.
Oh, but you don't. Yeah, I think he was responding to what Gabe Forte was saying with the specs.
There's no Sony didn't even announce it yet. I'm just saying there's rumors that is the case, that they're doing a technical reveal in February. If that, and that's the thing. If that reveal happens, the system's coming out in 19.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's all it's basically saying. If you see something in PlayStation by February and they're talking about it, the system's coming out at the end of the year. If you don't hear about it until E3 and they start talking about it, that means the system's not coming out to 2020.
Yeah. That's been basically the way things have been when it comes to new system launches since this entire century. I mean, every time there has been an announcement or a public announcement by one of the platform holders of a new system, it comes early in the year. They show you games at E3, they hype you up, and then during holiday season they launch it and people buy it. So like they want to hold that hype that year. They don't want to wait until the next year and then sell it to you. That's just too long for people to know this is coming and not be able to play it, So
what's the Days Gone release date?
February 22nd.
Yeah, February 22nd.
Okay.
That'd be a lot going on in February, right?
Yeah.
As if they was to show that game in February, right when if they had this reveal like 2 weeks before Days Gone comes out, and they show Days Gone at this event, but it's running on the PS5, and they tell you this is, and they have a comparison of what it would look like on PS4 there or PS4 Pro, right before the game comes out.
Yeah. Hey, Sam's asking us if we think Sam says, so you're saying the PS5 will release before The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding.
Absolutely. If they show it in February, it is.
Yeah. We haven't even got a year. Have we even got a year release date for Death Stranding?
They're both going to be cross-platform games, so it doesn't matter when they release it. As long as it releases on PS4, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I've always thought that those 3 games would probably be cross-platform, PS4, PS5 games.
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan Landis has a question. Do you guys think the next gen controllers will include paddles on the bottom as standard? FPS is still a huge genre. What do you guys think?
I'll say no.
I say maybe for Xbox it will.
Nah. I think both Sony and Microsoft would
to keep costs down. It won't.
They'll do incremental changes, really small things, but nothing that would constitute like a major change. I think paddles on the bottom. I don't think that's going to happen.
Increased costs. I don't see them doing that either. I agree with you guys. I see they do it. It's going to be more like what we see with the Elite controller.
Yeah, I do believe there will be an Elite 2.0, but it'll come out for the next system. It won't be anytime soon.
It's gonna be gray.
I think the innovation for next gen is going to be the for Xbox. Will Xbox be Design Lab, and you can design Elite controllers or whatever the new version of the Elite controller is in there and make your own.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's what I was hoping they did this generation, but
that would be cool.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I like that. I haven't done that yet. And you guys are going to Design Lab, made a controller?
I have.
No, I haven't done that.
I have like a few of them in there. I just haven't bought one yet.
You can sit in there for 2 hours making the controller, bro.
Yeah.
pretty crazy how many options they give you now.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a few designs like saved.
Yep.
Just, I just haven't pulled the trigger on like actually ordering one yet.
And then, well, the best time to do it is actually coming up during November, December, because that's when those controllers are the same price as the ones you can buy them in the store.
Exactly. That's what I was kind of waiting on.
Yep.
Every Black Friday.
Yep. You save that $20 that they normally charge you extra for them, and just get them for the regular price.
Yeah.
The only problem is going to be deciding which one to go with, because, like you said, you spend so much time in there putting one together, man.
How long is the shipping on it? How long does it take to get it?
Regular standard shipping.
Okay.
So what's that, like 7 business? What is I don't even know what regular standard is.
7 to 14 days.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That ain't too bad.
They need to do like stations like kiosks at GameStop.
Dude, they should do Xboxes like that. I would buy a limited edition Xbox if I could go to Design Lab and.
What? Can you imagine how hot that would be?
That's what I'm saying, dude. They can print money.
No, they should do it at a kiosk, at GameStop, like Build-A-Bear. Go in there and build your own
you know what? That might be something we could really talk about in a couple of sometime next year when these next systems are announced, what we want from them. And this would definitely be something I would want for the next Xbox or even the next PlayStation, a way to customize it before I get it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Eric, you want those stickers, man, for PlayStation, like the Happy Meal.
Give me them Happy Meal stickers, man.
Those Happy Meal stickers.
Indian style on the floor in the living room.
put them stickers on the bottom. Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, you lay them all out on the floor, man.
Yeah, man.
Try to decide where they're gonna go.
Got a little suggestion diagram that comes with the Happy Meal.
That's hilarious. Hey, guys, real quick, because we talked about this in the DMO. I wasn't involved in I wasn't talking about it, but I think Forte and Slow-Mo, I think you guys were. What's up with Jason Schreier?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I saw Forte.
Yeah, he's talking about microtransactions, and then somehow he incorporated YouTube, which I don't understand where he was coming from with.
All right, so he basically was just saying that people need to stop crying about because it's like a bunch of different people out there. I don't know if you see like Erica Spinner, she said a couple of things in her video. Some other people said some things about it, how their experience in the game has been driven. It kind of driven them towards microtransactions. I know Rand said Rand was on Scumcast this week and he talked about how one of his friends was loving the game at first, but once he got 30 to 40 hours in, he said, fuck this game. I can't play this no more because the microtransactions are shooting you in the face because it makes you want to buy them. But then Jason Schreier came out and said that he's like 30 hours in and he hasn't had a reason to even want to look at a microtransaction. They're not intrusive. He said, he basically could have just said that, but then he went a little further and said that YouTuber, he said, well, I guess if you just say that, then that doesn't make a good YouTube video. So he's basically saying that people are making YouTube videos just to complain about something that's really not there. He said he does agree that microtransactions shouldn't be engaged, but these microtransactions are not that intrusive, and YouTubers are basically just crying about it. So he kind of shot himself. I put it this way. I agree with him to an extent on what he has said about it, because I do think people have been making videos about this shit, but he shouldn't have said what the fuck he said, because you know
I don't want to misrepresent what Jason said.
Hold on, slow mo, real quick. Forte, I just want to I pulled up the tweet. I just want to
go ahead.
Just talk about the tweet real quick, so our viewers get an accurate depiction of what he said. So he said two things: for saying Assassin's Creed Odyssey's microtransactions are easy to ignore, and that YouTube has facilitated a climate of rage and hyperbole. I've received hundreds of personal insults and nasty messages. 2, microtransactions are a complicated topic. Most things are. It's my job as a reporter to ask questions, to give you my honest thoughts, and explore the nuances of issues like this. If you just want to hear about how evil they are, feel free to go elsewhere. Let's see. I think he said. I think that might have been it. If I'm not.
Well, that's not the tweet that blew up first. That was his response after he got kind of an avalanche of dissenting opinions hit him. But his initial tweet was yesterday or 2 days ago, and he said, "Here's my take. I've spent a little under 25 hours with Assassin's Creed Odyssey so far, and 1, it's phenomenal. 2, I've never once noticed or thought about the XP booster or microtransactions. That probably wouldn't make much for much of a YouTube video, though." And that part is where he pissed people off. And then he followed that up with, "It's sad how YouTube facilitates this culture where people toss around words like exploitative and predatory without really thinking about what they mean. Assassin's Creed Odyssey's microtransactions are at worst annoying. They're not a cancer on the video game industry." Now, those two tweets combined, I think, really kind of galvanized the whole YouTube community, because he generalized all YouTubers, whereas I think he was really only talking about Jim Sterling and probably Yanye, as and maybe some other ones like Layman Gaming, who seem to have grown their channels based off of going after developers and publishers for microtransactions and making very compelling arguments about it. But that seems to be the bulk of their content. And I think I'm gonna have to say, I enjoy Jason Schreier's work. I think his investigative journalism is top notch, the best in the business. His book is very good, but I think sometimes Jason jumps out there and he starts defending some of his friends who work in the industry. And this is him defending his friends who probably worked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And he puts himself out there when normally he wouldn't, and now he's taking the L for it. And I almost guarantee he's working on a second book. I can almost guarantee you we're gonna see Assassin's Creed Odyssey as a chapter in that book. And so while he's working, he's working. This is work. He is working defending his contacts so he can still have his access that no one else has. No one else has access with developers.
But isn't that an assumption, Slow-Mo? We really don't have any proof that he's actually. We don't know what's going on in his brains.
I said it's my opinion, and this is what I believe.
Okay.
But best believe I will definitely buy his new book when it comes out, because I'm a fan of his work. He does good work. I will let you know. I said this on October 10th. 2018. I said Ubisoft was going to be in this book, and so that's just. But I think just for him to jump out there with this kind of opinion and kind of go hard, and he's kind of gone hard against YouTubers before, and I do believe there is that whole old school media versus new school media thing there that is a part of it. But for him to kind of jump out there like that when normally he isn't the guy that does that, is kind of telling to me.
But he's as a journalist though, and he's kind of saying this like he's giving his thoughts on things as a journalist. I mean, that's what he's doing. That's part of his job.
That's the book.
I don't necessarily agree with some of the like. Look, we're YouTubers. I don't think we're, I don't think you're here hyperbole in this. Well, actually, maybe with slow-mo chat starts talking, but, but I don't think we do those things that he mentioned. And I think his choice of words probably could have been a little bit. He could have chose better words. But I also think at the same time, like, he's doing his job. Like, I think you said it, Slow-mo, like, he's doing work. He's just giving his opinion on things. And, he says, he's like, look, they're not microtransactions, they're not a cancer on the video game industry.
Yeah,
That's
but
his opinion.
but I agree. But if he would have stopped there, he would have been fine.
Yeah, but I think, did he get like pretty much attacked though? And maybe that was a response to.
I think that's the biggest issue though. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, as YouTubers or people who have voice in the community, at most times it's okay to give your opinion about said game. And if that narrative, about the game in this case is microtransactions, that's the narrative that everyone is running with, and everybody's saying like, the microtransactions game is so horrible, and everybody's kind of running with that. When someone, has an opposing argument, they usually get beat down. You know what I mean? In this case, it's Jason Schreier. He's a big name. You know what I mean? He's, done a lot of great work in the industry. And he's, it's an easy target when, everybody can kind of go to that and make their attacks against him. So, I think the attacks are unnecessary. He voiced his opinion about something. And, maybe, he does has his friends in the industry that he's got to protect or whatnot. But it's his opinion at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And, just because he had general statements, you shouldn't be offended by that. You know what I mean? It's not like he talked directly to you. Yeah, he could have mentioned, who he was talking about. But, at the end of the day, you're being professional. You know what I mean? So if you start calling people out, then people will be like, oh, he's not being professional. That's not what he should be doing, for work or at his job. So, you got to kind of look at it from both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I look at it like he definitely should have spoke. If he wasn't going to speak directly about the YouTubers that he was obviously thinking of when he wrote that, then he probably should have just kept it out of his tweet altogether. And he probably thinking back on it, because if you look at some of his more recent comments yesterday and today, he is not necessarily backpedaling, but trying to explain himself a little bit better. Because I follow Yang. I don't really follow Jim Sterling like that. I think he's a little bit theatrical, but Yang is very. Yange's a huge Kojima fanboy. That's one thing. And so you can't really anything he says about Kojima is 1000% biased. But typically, when like Yange has broke some stories, like he was the first to kind of really come out with it, and he's done some investigative work. He's not on Jason Schreier's level, but like when the whole stuff came out about CD Projekt Red and their the inner workings and how the work environment was, how the workplace was, Yange was the one that first brought that up. So like he usually make sure to get his sources together, and he spoke with former CD Projekt Red devs and kept them anonymous and out. Like this is kind of stuff that you see from some other YouTubers and even some other print journalists, where they out their sources and screw things up, or they point the finger at the wrong person, like that one website that named the wrong person who worked for BioWare and did the facial animation for Andromeda. Like people make mistakes, but Yange isn't like one of them. So I think Schreier should have just named who he was going to name and or just not say it at all, because in the flip side of it, it's like when people generalize all gaming media off of a Facebook meme that IGN put up. Is that fair to the rest of gaming media, that they all get lumped in as being biased because of something that someone at IGN did? That's not fair. So like it has to go both ways.
It's a great point, Slow-mo. E, man, you sound like you were gonna chime in. You had something to say?
Oh no. I'm just No, the one thing I was going to say is, you get people too that it doesn't matter what Jason says. There's just people that are like already have their underwear wound up, about what, dude comes out with.
Dude, that's true, man. I mean, a lot of people follow him and go ape shit when he says something. Mm-hmm. He can be like, "Good morning," and people are losing their minds.
Yeah. and I've kind of said in the past, because like I'm in the same camp as like Slow Mo. Like, do I agree with everything he says? No. But does the dude, is he on point when he usually like breaks something or drops something? Yeah. People, I've said this before, like people will say like there's no game journalists anymore, but that usually falls under the umbrella of you don't say what I want to hear, or you're going after the thing that I feel like I need to defend.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that he's not a journalist. The dude does what journalists are supposed to do. He digs and finds the story. But I said, unfortunately, and I think I may have said this to you, Slow Mo, is he's a victim of kind of like this social media culture.
Yeah.
Where the human side of him, there's only so much you can take of somebody coming at you. Mm-hmm. And eventually that will seep over into, your nature. And you start to build, like, you kind of fall into the trap of going at, fanboys who keep coming at you. And I can't imagine what it's like to block that off and not go there, because you even seen people like Michael Pachter go there.
Mm-hmm.
And that culture come at you hard, man. I mean, you see how we may get one or two people that come at us on Twitter. Look how we blow up.
I seen Slow Mo do it.
Right. So imagine when you have legions.
I've been known to kill a dude every now and then on Twitter.
What's interesting is that, like, I hear people talk about media bias and how they're not really journalists because maybe they favor PlayStation, or they're biased towards Xbox, whatever the case is. You look at the definition of journalism, though, there is an aspect to it, and how it's defined that, journalism is designed to appeal to current popular taste or public interest.
Right.
And so when people say those things, it's like, okay, let's get a better understanding of what journalism is. And I think maybe that's a byproduct and an issue of this culture of social media, where people aren't really, I think people see things and they react to tweets without actually thinking about what's being tweeted. And I think he does bring that up in his tweets. Like, people aren't really thinking about what they're saying, or people aren't really, when they're saying things, they're not really looking up the meaning of what they're saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you got levels of it. I mean, there's a difference between a journalist. There's a difference between somebody who you consider like a reporter, an enthusiast, or a blogger.
But they're all aspects of like journalism. Like, journalism is reporting facts, but it's also writing things that are there to appeal to public interest. Journalism is, like Jason said, giving his thoughts on something, his opinion. I mean, journalism isn't just, the Xbox does this, it turns on, it plays video games. I feel like
I got a good one for you. IGN has a show called Fire Team Chat. That's for Destiny. And no other game has any show like that on IGN. It's the only one, because that game has vested interest. People come there to watch that stuff, so they report about news and stuff about it during that show. So everything, like every publication has something that they do to like basically just cater to their fans. If that show wasn't doing good, they wouldn't have it on that show for people to do it. And Slow Mo, it's kind of funny to me that The Division is supposed to be a better game, but IGN don't have a show based around The Division. They do have a Destiny show that's got over 100 episodes on it.
You know why? Because no one will watch that
garbage. Nobody will watch that garbage.
And if they did do it, it would be like in a limited series, like a 2-part series, maybe.
Right.
Man, so how you catching shrapnel from these dudes?
But you know what?
I'm not gonna say anything because
you can't fight that one.
Because I'm gonna win that bet in March next year, and Enrique is gonna owe me a 6-pack of Fat Tire.
Oh yeah, damn. But but going back to what you guys were saying about it is the problem for me around all of the reasons that all this stuff keeps happening with this back and forth with games media and just the community in general. Everybody feels like they have to be right to an extent. And then on top of that, people, it's not even really the two community people going at it. I guarantee you it's not Jim Sterling or Yang Ye that's actually going back with Jason Schreier. It's all the people that follow those people that's attacking
all the
Jason Schreier and
stands.
stuff.
All the stands, man.
All the stands out there. People literally, and Fonz put out a really great tweet earlier today, or it might have been yesterday.
People hate on Fonz this week, man.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. But Fonz put out a really good tweet where he talked about, I'm tired of all the back and forth. If, you are the type of person that likes to play games, unfollow me now and I'll do the same thing. Because there is no place for people to just sit here and just take abuse from people just because you just want to, pass someone else's agenda that's not even your own. There's a reason I don't make videos on every little thing that happens because, quite honestly, I really don't give a care. It's not something I really even look at or anything like that. I don't try to fight anybody else's battle on Twitter. But the biggest thing is, as long as this keeps happening, we're always going to have this divide. There's always going to be Jason Schreier is going against YouTubers, or YouTube doesn't care about what the games media cares about. And it's not the people we're talking about. It's all those drones and stands that are in the middle of it that are literally the loudest parts of the community that everybody should have the problem with.
I think Sam made a very good point in the chat. He said preference is fine, even bias, until it gets in the way of truth.
Facts.
And I agree with that 100%. As
kind of like your poll last week.
My poll was, you know what? There wasn't even bias in that poll. You just mad because you took an L on the poll and you also took an L in the debate. So, you just got double L's over here. I'll start calling you LL Cool E.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. No, it's a great, guys, great conversation. I thought it was interesting, with what was going on Twitter. And, it's funny that tweet that Fonz put out, man. He was catching so much heat, man. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, dude was trying to bury that dude.
Yeah, but Fonz is such a good guy. Like Fonz is just a gamer. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about. So, speaking of gaming, Microsoft, we got some big Microsoft news with regards to their xCloud service, which is going to stream Xbox games to PCs, consoles, and mobile devices, which I think is awesome. I think this is awesome that Microsoft is doing this. I think, like we talked about this before we went live on the air, Forte. This plays to their strength as a company, right? And I think that potentially this is not in the near future, but I think that maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the road, this is potentially how we're going to game, primarily game, which I think for some people just
it's unbelievable,
scary, and some people really kind of. And I understand. Like I
don't understand.
Well, I mean, I get. There's something called acceptance lag when it comes to technology. I go through this with my parents who are baby boomers, and they get mad at their touchscreen phone and wonder why they can't have their rotary phone back.
We're not going to allow it.
What's that?
We're not going to allow it. That's what.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But look, changes are coming. I mean, this is technology. Technology is ever evolving, ever changing. Microsoft, they're not the first, like you pointed out, Forte, to do cloud gaming. Other people have been doing this. I think we talked about this. Was it last week? We talked about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is also doing this right now too, but have been doing it.
I mean, On Live did this 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're right. On Live did it. So they're looking at ways to create ways to combat latency, which is obviously one of the biggest obstacles to streaming. And look, guys, I've always talked about from I think day one of the show. I felt like this is where the idea of being able to play games on the fly for me is something that's very appealing. Like if I could play Spider-Man on my phone. Like, who wouldn't love that, right? Who wouldn't love? I mean, at least I would. In my mind, I think who wouldn't love that? Be able to play a console quality game on the fly, wherever you want. Like, that sounds cool to me. Right. Be able to have that kind of experience. But I don't know. I guess other people, some people freaked out a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and if that doesn't sound cool to you, guess what? You don't have to buy it. Excuse me. You don't have to pick it up. No one's saying you got to do this. But, you know, it's just this whole culture. And it goes back and forth, depending on, you know, who you talk to and what it is. It's like, I can't rock with this because it may give you a one-up on an argument or a debate or something, you know, that I don't have on the one system or the feature that I have. And they actually talked about this, like, on the Iron Lords, you know, and they said in some cases it may come down to financial, it come down to whatever, but people get that ownership of that one thing that they have. But they can't understand the culture of, if you're a multi-console gamer or, you know, multi-platform gamer, why are you out there fighting?
Right.
You kind of have the benefit to like rock with whatever you want to rock with.
But I guess at the end of the day, isn't the big thing here? Isn't it just boil down to, can I play games? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what device you're playing a game on. I mean, personally, to me, it doesn't matter whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, you know, a tablet. I don't care as long as I can play good content. That's all I care about.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like I see people say, like, you know, you talk about like services or whatever, right? And people go in like, you know, it's about the game. Yes, it is about the games. It's always about the games. But, you know, having some services does not necessarily hurt me as long as the games are there. You know what I'm saying? And somebody doing a service really well can only benefit if another platform seeing that is working well, they're going to start rocking with it too and try to push it and elevate it. Yeah. Elevation is good. Yeah. You know, but I think where Microsoft gets that hit is where, you know, it's that whole game thing. But going into the next generation, and I think I said this to Sam and DM, I said, if they can start delivering on those first party games, they may have some people back on their heels.
That's what I said, man.
Yeah, because then those services start to look even sweeter because it's like, well, you know, the games are there and they have the service thing on lock too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm telling you, as day one, you know,
in 3 years, 2 to 3 years, when Microsoft has their first party all in order and they're cracking out games, Game Pass is going to look so much more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the streaming thing is going to look so much more attractive. Xbox in general is going to look so much more attractive, and the whole narrative is going to change. It's going to be back to Microsoft being in the limelight. You know what I mean? Because they're doing things that the competitors just aren't doing.
Right.
And as long as you deliver what people are asking for, then you got a winner on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Microsoft. Yeah.
You know, I liken the whole discussion about streaming your games and people being able to play games how they want to play them. I see all this fear of like, oh no, like they're going to take away, you know, my ability to just buy a disc and put a disc in a drive and have that physical media. I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere. And even if it's like Enrique, you know, predicts like maybe 20 years from now, all of it will be streaming. You know, that's a possibility. I don't think that's going to happen. And I even now, you know, we could use the example of phone, the phone, right? So in the 80s is the first time we were introduced to the technology of a cellular phone.
Mm-hmm.
That technology was introduced in the 80s, and it even by the 90s it was not widely adopted yet. Like I didn't get my first cell phone until maybe when I graduated high school, which was like in 98.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got my first cell phone. So from the moment it was introduced and people were getting like car phone, like a phone in their car, or that big old huge phone, huh? Yeah, I did have. No, I had a
StarTech.
I had a Nokia.
StarTech. I remember those.
StarTech too, man. OG Nokia.
Yeah, I had the OG Nokia. That thing was man. That thing was durable.
What was that Nokia? Was it that 6430 or something like that? 6340, like a candy bar.
You could bury that thing in the ground and dig it up today, man. That thing will still work.
Yeah. No, they said that those phones are still in the wild. People still rock with those phones because that analog and the fact that it's just durable. It's just there. Like, like your burner phone.
Your burner phone.
what I wanted to say was like it took 2 decades. It wasn't until last decade, you know, in the 2000s, when it became everyone was getting a cell phone. Right? Everyone had a cell phone. That took 2 decades for that to be more widely adopted than your landline. And guess what? Now in 2018, people still have landlines. If you want a landline, you can still have a landline, and you can get it through your internet. So it's even more it's more reliable than just, you know, that you know, the old school way of doing it. So
yeah,
it's always going to be an option. So the whole fear mongering, the sky's falling, the Alex Jones you know, tinfoil hat stuff, it's not necessary.
It's irrational, man. That's what I'm saying. People aren't thinking about what they're saying, man. It's like, and like to your point, Slimmo, like you talk about cell phones. That's a great example. You know, this thing also has to prove that it's going to be viable, that it works, and that consumers are going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and until then, it's just going to be an option.
Right.
Yeah. Look, man, it was a long time. It seems like it was a long time ago, but when phones back then, like in the 90s and early 2000s, are nowhere near what they are now. Mm-hmm. I can remember times where I would have a phone, and remember how they always say, you know, you shouldn't have your phone out while you're in public at the table or some stuff like that. But that happens all the time now. You know, there was a time that people would say, well, why would I use a phone all the time? I don't have my phone on me all the time because there's no reason to. Well, a phone is like a part of like a life extension at this point for a lot of people. It's kind of not it's not something that you just have just because you can afford it. It's like everybody has phone. I mean, kids nowadays, my daughter's, you know, had a phone since she was 11 years old, you know, and it kind of makes sense for us so we can always keep up with her when she's out and about doing the things she needs to do for school and stuff. So, you know, times change, and I do think that sooner or later we will be in an all digital future, and we will be in a streaming future. And people just got to understand that it's going to happen no matter what. If you're one of those people that don't want to adopt change as it's happening, then you're just going to get left behind. And people keep saying like, oh, well, I'll stop playing games if that happened. I was like, well, are you really a true gamer if you're just going to quit a hobby just because things aren't the way that it always has been? I mean, you know, playing games is all about adapting to the things around you. I mean, that's what gaming is. You know, nothing stays the same when it comes to consoles and controllers, and all that stuff changes. So why can't you change with this too?
I don't believe people who even say that. Like I've heard that multiple times. I'm just like, you just say that now, but even though I like I said, I don't believe it will ever go away. The physical media, that being able to have a actual console that's, you know, a box in your house, even though I don't think it's going to become just like a little thumb drive, like a little Fire Stick you just connect to the back of your TV or something. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Where that's the only option that you have. But even if it was, people will adopt it because it's about the games. It's not about how you play the games. It's the fact that you're able to play it and you're able to enjoy it. And if it ever gets to that point, that means they're able to do everything that you would do with a outdated brick in your house with just a thumbstick, which is the reason why now, like, Blockbuster is out of business, because you can get everything that Blockbuster had with something the size of a USB stick sticking in the back of your TV. When it becomes to the point where you can't do that thing you used to, you know, the way you used to enjoy it all the time, you're not going to care, because the technology would have reached the point where that way of doing things is completely unnecessary.
Everything has an expiration
but I think that's kind of where I think this will actually happen a lot sooner than people think. I think in the next 10 years, especially if this next generation is as short as this generation seems it's going to be like, I think in the next 10 years, a lot more people will adopt streaming, especially if it's more akin to what Netflix is today.
Yeah.
Well, I've said this before, guys. You know, the younger generation of gamers, like, you know, be like our kids, right?
Yeah.
And even my 4-year-old. I mean, his interaction with gaming has been much different than mine growing up.
Right.
His interaction with gaming has been a lot of it's been mobile. Really, I mean, if I think about my 9-year-old, my 4-year-old, they got their first gaming experiences on a mobile device.
Yeah.
And at some point, that's going to be the expectation of the younger generation.
Yeah.
That hey, because they're conditioned like this. I want all my content on the fly. I want to be able to access all my content wherever I go. And that's a complete paradigm shift to how we grew up gaming, because we grew up console in front of the TV. You go out, you buy your cartridge, you plug up the Atari,
you blow in.
Yeah, you blow up the cartridge, Yeah. I mean, but we've seen the evolution of gaming, and it's changed with times, and this is it's just another example of the change, and I think it's just driven by as technology companies trying to anticipate what's going to happen. I think this part. I think this goes back to the future gamers and what their expectation is going to be.
Yeah, like for example, like when my kids want like new games, we don't even go to the store. They go on their PlayStation. They go to the store on PlayStation. Like, Dad, I want to get this. This is what let's put the money on the account so we can buy this game. Like when we go to the store, we're out at Target or at a Walmart. I'm like, you guys want to go look at the game section? They're like, no. Look at it at home. Like, they have no interest of even going over there. They may like look at headsets or something like that.
Right.
Or like they want to get a PSN card so they can buy like stuff on Fortnite. But other than that, they don't care about looking at the game section. They know they can look at it at home on PSN.
On Xbox,
Let me ask you, B, like why is it when it comes to gaming, like there's like this hesitation, right? There was no hesitation with movies, no hesitation with with music.
Right.
Everybody ran to sign up for Spotify, sign up for Google Play Music, sign up for this and that. No problem there. Signing up for iTunes, Apple Play, whatever you got, right? Netflix, blah blah blah.
I think because it's an interactive media, even though you do interact with things like Spotify and stuff, but it's more of just sit back and just relax and just let it play,
right.
or just watch it on TV like it is with Netflix.
Yeah.
It's so many built-in excuses, especially since this is something that has been tried in the past, and people are just thinking of failed attempts like on live and PlayStation Now and how the latency on that is. There's really not been a consistent thing out there to show that this truly can work. Mm-hmm. And people are just living off of that. So when a company comes out to say that they can actually do it, and like Microsoft is pointing and say, hey, we can do this, we solved this, we solved that, people are very skeptical about it, and I can understand that. But the biggest thing is, it's just the fact that this is something that's interactive versus, everything else just being something you could just casually, consume without even really paying attention to it.
Right. Yeah. And that's my thing too. Is like, just give it a chance. It's not like anybody's saying that this is it. This is the only thing that we're going to do. We're putting all our focus into this, and we're walking away from everything else. So let them try it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. At the end of the day, they're not saying we're walking away from console gaming. They're just saying, hey, we're looking at a different way to deliver content to you.
Mm-hmm.
And not just on your console, but on your PC, on your mobile device. And I don't know. For me, it makes sense.
That's just the thing is too, and it's like, and theoretically, we're not even really talking to you. We're talking to like others who don't really want to invest in like a dedicated console or something to that effect, but may want to, like we were talking earlier about casual gamers or people who want to dabble or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, if we can give you some kind of like possibility of gaming wherever you are, accessing your library wherever you are, why wouldn't you want that?
You just can't stifle innovation.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as it's just going to stay the way things are, the way I like it forever. And how does it make any sense that like there is an option that you can play these games? Like the people who try to say, oh well, hey, you Xbox guys, that Xbox isn't selling because now they're putting their games on PC. So why is that? Like, what? How is that somehow a talking point. I don't understand how that's a problem or a big deal. I have the option to play the game that I purchased just one time on my PC and my Xbox, and now in the future, potentially, I'll be able to play it on my tablet or my cell phone or my TV or whatever. Like, why is that a problem? It is an option. It's not I have to do it. And the whole, it's not an exclusive to Xbox. But you know what? I'm not a fan of Xbox. I'm a fan of these games. So for me, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So like when you're a fan of games and you're not a fan of a piece of plastic or a company who don't know who the hell you are, it doesn't matter to you where the games are. So having options is all I care about. I wanted to say something also about what Enrique said about like these kids. And I agree with Enrique 1000%. These kids, they don't view gaming the way we view gaming. Like my very first system was the NES. And I remember going over my godbrother's house, and he was just like, "I have to show you this thing. It's amazing." And I'm just like,
"Why'd you make your godbrother sound like Hulk Hogan?" You gotta see this, brother.
If my godbrother was Hulk Hogan, that would have been a great childhood. But He had the NES. He just got it. It was brand new, and it had he showed me Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and I was blown away. And I was from then on. I was like, when I got home, I was like, "Mom, I gotta have one. I gotta have one." And that was it. I was done as a gamer. But we grew up being able to, like, you knew I was going to play my video games. I sat down in front of some big old TV, some big heavy TV with this little system, and I had cartridges. These kids now, my oldest son, he's 8, he has a 3DS. He wants the Nintendo Switch, but he doesn't want to play it on the TV. He just wants it as the handheld portion. So I'm actually trying to look and find the Switch where I don't have to get the cradle because I know he ain't gonna use the cradle. My 7-year-old isn't there yet, but he plays all the games on my iPad. They have zero interest of playing my Xbox or PlayStation. Zero. This is the next generation. So like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo
and now Google
and Amazon, they know this. They see the projections, they do the research, they know these things already. So they're preparing for that eventuality, because you gotta get that next generation that comes in, because us old people die out.
That's some of these old heads. I'm an old head, but we got to kind of get around that too. It's like they're not necessarily talking about us and what we used to like and what we used to have. Things move forward. Like I'll never forget buying like my first DVD player back in the day, and in that package there was like this thing called Netflix. And it was like, get movies at home right now in the mail. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Because at that time, it was go to Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
And it was a new thing I tried. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope, right? Didn't really think of it in terms of it being the future, but here we are, right? And then Blockbuster tried to catch on to that and start doing mail at home, but it was too late for them.
Yeah, they did streaming too. Remember, Blockbuster had a streaming app.
It was too late.
It was way too late because they were way in debt and they were already closing stores, and it went from let's make it a Blockbuster night to Netflix and chill. Yeah. And once the Netflix and chill became a meme, a thing, it was over.
You're right though. Back in the days, it was like, hey girl, let's make it a Blockbuster night.
And you knew what that meant.
Yeah.
Whatever movie y'all got, it didn't matter what the movie was. The movie was going to be watching you after about half an hour. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Exactly. Now it's just, hey, like when I was in college, man, and Enrique know how Towson is. I used to be like, you talk to a girl, you like, hey, what you doing later? Just trying to watch a movie.
Yeah, trying to watch a movie?
You know you ain't gonna watch no movie.
Hey, Jeremy,
I'm trying to at least. so yeah, the
Baby Boy.
Baby Boy, Jody, crying ass.
But yeah, like the mind share of the overall, society went from let's make it a blockbuster night to Netflix and chill. And once they got the mind share, it was over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I
I'm
guarantee
someone getting that
there
back.
was some old head sitting on the blockbuster board like Netflix. Who's gonna want their movies in the mail? People like to go,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It's just that's just how it is. Not embracing. And they probably fought like tooth and nail when people were probably trying to tell them like, look, we got to get involved in this.
Well, the genius with Netflix too is that they basically cannibalized the the movies in the mail thing and came out with streaming. I mean, so that was genius for them to do that.
Yeah,
because that was kind of what was gonna happen with with the internet and whatnot. But B, I to go back to what B you were saying about your kids, that blows my mind, man. Like that just doesn't register in my mind. Like how you can go to a store and say, nah, I can get it online. Like I'm like, what? Like I grew up, we went to Babbage's. If you guys remember Babbage's.
Yeah.
And that's where we went to buy video games. So
I Babbage's, yeah.
I just can't imagine like people not wanting to go to a game store. Rather just I get the convenience piece too. That's just not how I grew up.
Yeah, like how we grew up. We go to the store,
with
the
malls,
game section. You pick up a game, like let's look at the back cover, see what the features are. Does it have 2-player? Oh yeah, okay. let me get this one. My cousin's coming over. Now it's just like everything's online. They don't care. They're not gonna be playing with their friends. Right. Grab a headset. Let me grab some money for Fortnite. Let me go grab this new emoji or this new dance or whatever the hell they be buying in there. And, you know what I mean? And they get on there with their friends and be on there all night. Having a good time.
It's so much easier now because I recall back in the day going to like Babbage's and you would look at a game and you would try to imagine what the game was like based off of what the cover showed. You just looking at it like, is this a good game or not? Now they can just go on YouTube and see gameplay and see whether they really want to play the game or not. But before, I remember when I first bought Final Fantasy VI, which over here back then was Final Fantasy II, I looked at the cover and was like, oh, that looks cool. And I bought it. And I had no idea what this game was about or how it played. And when I first played the game, I'm like, this is not what
badass, by the way.
Huh?
The bad guy in Final Fantasy VI.
I'm sorry. Final Fantasy II was Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy III is Final Fantasy VI. So my bad. Final Fantasy IV in Japan was Final Fantasy II here, and so that was my first one. My bad. I had to. I'm old, we forget things. But just like at first, I got mad because I wasted my allowance on this game that I didn't understand what an RPG was. But then, like over time, I found out like I couldn't take it back. My mom wasn't going to do it, so I ended up playing the game. Became a fan of RPGs. It's so strange now knowing that like my kids now can say, well, they look up games and then show me the actual game and say, hey, can you get me this next? And it's just like, man, I wish I had that easy back then. Because back then it was just like, I don't know. What's this Contra? Is this good? I don't know.
Trial by error, man. It was trial by error.
Yeah. I remember when you got trolled by the box art?
Yeah, amazing box art.
You get a homie like, this game is trash.
You want to take it back the same night, man.
Yeah, man.
This box art.
That baller airbrush job on that cover got you, man.
Yeah. I remember this one game that was I think it was for Super Nintendo. It was a trash game. It got like the worst reviews in GamePro, but on the cover, it was they contracted out Jim Lee, Jim Lee is like a legendary comic book artist. He used to draw X-Men. I think he runs DC Comics now. And they got Jim Lee to do the cover, and I was like, this looks amazing. I gotta play this, and I got it, and I was like, this is so trash. This is the worst game ever, yo. And I'm like, they got Jim Lee on the cover. I thought the game was going to be good. I'm like, you know what? Crazy, never again.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah. That was just a different time, man. So I told you guys a couple weeks ago I got the NES Classic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Castlevania. My 4-year-old, I walked in the room. He's playing it, and he was loving it.
Nice.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little choked up. So I did. Because there he is. Because that's like my childhood growing up. Castlevania, spending hours, in front of the television playing that game. And here he is, and he's enjoying it. And he's like, yeah, he's like, Dad, look what I'm doing. He's like, I'm killing the. He was calling the zombies or something. He was calling them monsters or something. So
that's dope, man.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, we'll move on to the last topic, which Kotaku. Speaking of Jason Schreier, Kotaku pretty much confirmed that Microsoft is in the process of buying Obsidian. Probably the worst kept secret, I think, in the industry. Yeah, I mean, it's this thing's definitely going to be announced at XO. I think we talked about this last week. So, but we at least now we have final. Well, not official confirmation. Microsoft has announced it yet, but I think at this point it's a done deal. And hey, man, hats off to Microsoft. I mean, after the narrative of they need to invest in first party, boy, do they ever invest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many? This would make what number?
It's number 6.
There's 6.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. 6 studios, one for the thumb on the extra hand.
Yeah,
they got themselves an Infinity Gauntlet now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. So, now do you guys think? I think last week we talked about, I think we were talking about what is it? What game would they have Obsidian work on? I think we all said Fable, right?
It would make the most sense.
Yeah.
I actually did a poll on that too. I was in a poll mood this week, I guess. And so I'm trying to find it now because I had some options and a lot of people well, not a lot of people. We got some people to vote on it. I don't think they're going to do Fable. I really do believe Playground is doing Fable, but in the poll I put up, most people expect them to do a brand new IP. 48% voted that way. But I've also put in the option that I thought was pretty interesting. Like, what if they revive the canceled Stormlands game that was canceled back in 2012? What if they? Because I mean, part of the reason why it was canceled was it was a little too ambitious for the time, what they were trying to do. But minus the defunct Connect, I think it can definitely be done now. With the ideas they had of doing 50-man raids using the cloud to keep to get all those people into one server and do raids that way. I think that's something that isn't being done right now in the console space and could be a great idea. So I don't know, maybe they may revive that now that they're going to get full funding and technology has advanced. But yeah.
It could be, man. Sam in the live chat says Obsidian will not make Fable, nor should they make Fable. Okay. Interesting.
I wonder why Sam doesn't think they should make Fable. I think they would do a good job with it. I think either they or Playground could do a good job with it.
Yeah. Sam, if you don't mind, just give us your opinion why you don't think they should make it. Go ahead, B.
Playground has so much potential to be this amazing studio, which I mean they are right now, but I think if you let them do their own thing and drop a new IP instead of going back to the well and hitting Fable, I think they could really kill it, man. Fable would probably be great.
Yeah,
it's Fable at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If they came out with something like a brand new IP and really knocks the socks off of people, that could put them on the map forever, man.
Yeah,
that's a great point. But I tell you what, though, I'm definitely excited for what Microsoft potentially is going to bring to the table next gen. Go ahead, Slomo.
I was one thing I had a potential game they could do, but then I also had a question for you guys. So also my first part, what if? So remember back in the day on original Xbox, Jade Empire came out and BioWare made it. And I really enjoyed Jade Empire. It was really good. That's back when BioWare didn't do sequels. So they really would their stories were really amazing and ending had so many different endings because they didn't plan on doing the sequel. But Microsoft published that. So I do wonder if EA owns the IP for that.
They do.
They do. So
Yeah.
BioWare kept the IP after doing
I asked Mike Ledlaw about it a while ago.
Damn.
That EA still does own the Jade Empire.
Well, never mind. Because I was gonna say Microsoft still had it. I would say like, hey, let Obsidian do the sequel to it. You know, kind of similar to how they did the sequel to Knights of the Old Republic. But oh well. So my question is that there are a lot of people who believe that Obsidian isn't the only. There's nothing behind this. I don't think, but there's some people who believe that Obsidian isn't the only dev that has been purchased or will be purchased by XO 18. Who else do you think they may be purchasing as well?
Damn, who? Jeez, man, I couldn't even I can't even think of anyone they would purchase.
I'm gonna say Moon Studios, who does Ori.
Well, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely lock that up because you don't want them to turn into multi-plat and it's another BioWare situation.
And we get Ori on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, because outside of Forza Horizon, isn't Ori like the best like exclusive game they've had this gen?
What about the studio behind Cuphead?
Oh yeah.
Ori is definitely one of my favorite IP that they had this year. I mean, not this gen, but this gen.
Game is garbage.
Yeah, I think either one of them would be pretty good acquisitions. Yeah. I think both of them bring something special to the table. You know, and both were great games. It'll be interesting to see where either one of those studios would go beyond, you know, the current IP that they're working on.
Yeah. I do wonder about the dev that did Cuphead, where they go from here. Will they do something similar with a similar art direction next, or would it still be kind of a old school side scroller style game, or something different? But I do love the fact that that dev and Moon Studios are so innovative in this time. You know, like Ori looks beautiful, and although I have the first one and haven't played it yet, I do plan on playing it. But like it's I think that's something that they could provide that their competition doesn't really have a foothold in exclusive wise. So I think that would be a good idea for them to do that.
Yeah,
that would be a good move. I mean, but at this point, what else could they? I mean, at this point, are they missing any type of genre? Like everything's pretty much covered at this point now, right? I mean, we don't know what initiative.
Yeah, I think so.
They're missing a single player narrative game.
That's true.
So I mean, hey, apparently Playground's supposed to be making another game from another team that they spun off with all the devs they're hiring. So maybe that's something else that they're doing as well. Maybe that's what Ninja Theory will be providing, a single player narrative game, which is kind of been their thing. And I think that's what I know Microsoft has this reputation of always being so hands-on and don't really allow devs to do what they want and don't really approve anything that's not like just your typical, Halo, Gears, Forza kind of deal. But they're acquiring devs who specialize in very particular games. Like Obsidian is an isometric RPG, kind of dev who can go outside the box a little bit and based upon what some other game has been like fake Fallout and KOTOR, be able to make a good solid sequel off of that kind of game. But I don't expect them to have Obsidian do like a Gears game. They're gonna let Obsidian be Obsidian. They're gonna let Ninja Theory be Ninja Theory. And I think that would be the best way to go about it. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's exciting times, man.
Yeah,
let them be creative. Let them get the creative juices going. So the question is, now that we got X18 coming out later in a month, I think this was going to be one of the announcements for it. What else, now that we pretty much know about this, what else do you think they could say that would be as exciting as probably announcing that they were getting Obsidian as a studio under the Microsoft banner.
New Xbox hardware announcement.
Oh, they got to announce games. They got to show games.
Yeah, they got to show games before they show it. So now they can show the games first, then show the hardware, but they can't go hardware then games.
Yeah, I have had enough of services. I've had enough of hardware. It's time to show some games. So I expect it will be a W for Microsoft if, of course, we're going to get Obsidian. That's fine alone. They don't have to announce anything else if any other acquisitions if they aren't ready yet. Because of course you don't want to say, "Hey, we're buying Moon Studios," and it falls through. Then you look really dumb. But I want some game announcements. I want some game announcements from these new devs and their old ones too. I want something, from that's new IP coming.
Wouldn't that be better suited for E3 though?
No,
no, you can no. What's the purpose of doing the XO? What's the purpose of doing your own PSX if you're not going to show us anything that's exciting? Get us. And I'm not saying you have to show gameplay for these games, but announce it. Yeah. And then at E3, show us the game.
Put a trailer, put a title on the screen. That's all we really need.
Yeah, and Crackdown 3 better be playable.
Playable.
Crackdown.
Multiplayer playable, right? Not just playable.
I don't even think it's gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm not.
Greenberg now is trying to say that they ain't announced no damn date for this game. I don't know what the hell Microsoft is doing with Crackdown. But throw the shit out the window, man. Don't nobody care about it.
Hold on, what did Greenberg say? They didn't announce a date?
Yeah, now he's trying to say that they didn't announce an official date, but they announced an official day at E3 when they said it was coming out on February 22nd.
Yeah, their Twitter account put it out there.
Can we get rid of Greenberg already? Good grief. He's so bad at his job. Throw him out a one-story window. Just throw him out.
Oh, come on, man.
We don't look.
I don't have a problem with
I said a one-story window because we don't want to hurt the guy. But he got to get up out of here.
So what you don't like about Greenberg?
He's bad at his job. And it's like he may be a nice guy.
So you're saying you can do a better job?
No, I'm not. No, look. I can say a guy's a bad football player doesn't mean I'm a better football player than them. I can look at someone doing their job poorly and say,
what is he doing? What is he bad at?
He's bad at marketing. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at how they've marketed their exclusive games this year. Sea of Thieves, they did a poor job marketing that. Stay of Decay. You were on Inside Xbox and they did a escape room thing. Who cares? Why are you doing an escape room to market Stay of Decay? They got all them celebrities for Forza Horizon to just like none of that's compelling. Show us the game. Like me watching a celebrity barely play a game poorly and throwing mud on them and stuff like what is this?
Oh, you talking about the GameStop
that's
one.
not marketing.
It's just funny as fuck.
It's just, but it's not. It doesn't make me want to play the game. Like this, like a great example.
I don't think they did a terrible job with Sea of Thieves.
Let me ask you this, Lomo. Mm-hmm. Do you think they did a terrible job? Do you think they did a terrible job in convincing you of the games, or just in general?
Like in general,
because there's a difference there.
Okay. Here's another thing. Okay, so at sporting events, I see PlayStation sponsored and advertising everywhere, and it's not just one sport. I see it in multiple sports. I almost never see Microsoft in that sense. Very few times do I find Microsoft commercials for the games that they have marketing for. Even the third-party games show up in like at commercials for famous TV shows. Like the Walking Dead,
where they have the NFL partnership.
Yeah, or the NFL. If you have an NFL partnership, spend the money so that every other time there's a commercial break, there is an Xbox commercial. There is no marketing there that anywhere near as good as their competition. So
maybe he doesn't have the budget to do it, man.
No, and that's what I was about to ask you this. So when did Phil become become VP on the panel?
Was it January?
So
this year, I think?
basically right before Microsoft's fiscal year, which I believe is in February or May or March. Who's to say that Microsoft isn't spending the money on the marketing side because they already foresee that they were going to spend a large part of the budget and just acquiring all these studios and bringing all these people on. You mean? I mean, it is still a company that does still have budgets. I'm not saying that Greenberg's doing a great job because I think he could do a lot more too. But
then that's the same thing when people are like, well, there's a bunch of controllers out there. Isn't that a whole different portion of the business?
I mean, well, so, that's like completely how much of that stuff totally is already in development, though. You're talking about hardware.
Real quick, I just want to interrupt. We got Jay Fonzarelli in the house.
So what's going on? Big Fonz.
What's up, bro?
Now, what were you saying? What's that?
Yeah, but I'm saying the marketing team is something totally different than, you know what I mean, the product line team, or, you know what I mean, the gaming team. Mm-hmm. So all of that has its own budget.
Well, no, you can just like any business, you can move budgets around and allocate different things to different people.
Right.
I mean, I think Xbox as a whole has a budget, and then however they want to spend it.
Exactly. So where was the marketing spent on?
I don't think there was. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there was no money spent on marketing at all.
Okay, so Forza, you think Megan Fox and Tyrese did that Forza spot for free?
No, I think that a lot of people got to realize when it comes to marketing, let the little that they are doing, they're doing the bare minimum by bringing certain people in that a lot of people know the faces and names to. I'm not saying that's the correct way to do it, but you're talking about the social media side of it. They know most of the stuff that they get is where it's coming from. People talking about it on Twitter, talking about it on YouTube, talking about it on Mixer, Twitch, all those different places like that. That's where they're seeing the majority of probably the clicks on their stuff from. They're not seeing it from national TV spots because that costs way more money to do than it is just to call somebody in that has a big following. Like think about it. Lamar Wilson, he gets every fucking thing that Microsoft gets, and he does videos and unboxings and showcases all the shit that that they have coming. Do you think that he doesn't cost nowhere near as much as it costs to put a commercial inside of a NFL, Sunday afternoon video during a commercial? I mean, that's what they're doing, right? They're doing the bare minimum. I'm not saying they're not doing a good job at all, but they're doing the bare minimum right now. And I think we got to really sit back and say, if this is something that's happening in 2019, that's when we can say that, everybody needs to take Greenberg outside and shoot him like the dog that he might be and all this other crazy shit, which I don't think is the case. I just think you are shackled by the things that the company above you is doing. And that's what Microsoft has been for the last 5 years, shackled by Terry Myerson and all the shit he was doing with the not allowing them to have a voice at the table. So now you got to see what happens.
May I interject about Greenberg?
Yes, you can, Fonz. You can always do it.
There's several things about Aaron Greenberg that throws red flags, in my opinion. Most recently, his post on Twitter regarding Crackdown 3 not being delayed. He mentioned something about it not being delayed. I forgot the wording exactly, but it sounded like he didn't even know that the game was scheduled for a 22nd of February launch at all.
He said that it wouldn't be delayed any further than February.
Yeah, the way he worded it was like he didn't know that the game was even launching on the 22nd. He said something about it not having a date set, but there was a date set by Microsoft themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they tweeted it out.
Know this, and he's the head of marketing. That doesn't throw a red flag.
No, he might. I mean, he might be playing stupid, but
and then you got to look at just the track record of the Xbox division this whole generation. The marketing has been horrible as a whole. And I know Samuel Tolbert, he said the Sea of Thieves marketing was good, and that sort of thing. And that may be so for that particular game. But as a whole, if you really think about it, Microsoft marketing has been terrible this generation. It's been bad. And I mean, the sales, everything have reflected upon that. And I don't understand why people still try to defend the head of marketing when it seems that he's not doing the job very well. It seems like he's clueless at times. Case in point, what I said about the Crackdown 3 date. I don't get this guy. Like, you could say he's trolling or he's just playing dumb, but do you think that's smart for the head of marketing to do on Twitter? I don't.
No, I agree.
It's weird.
It's
really weird. And I'll give you a personal story, and I'm sure you've heard this before, Enrique. We've talked about it. But when they came out with the Xbox One X marketing before it was pushed out, they had stuff on their website. They had stuff in stores. And in stores, it was really like to the point where they were talking about GPUs, CPUs, and that sort of thing, where it would confuse the casual gamer. They wouldn't understand what the GPU was for and all this stuff. And they were trying to push, the X. And I broke it down. And I took things from their own website that broke it down, like said, to create bigger worlds and stuff like that, using their own terms. And this was sent to Aaron Greenberg. And he came back and he was asking questions through another gentleman that won't be named here, but somebody in the community that has talked to these guys behind the scenes. And he's all, that was really great that this guy did that and stuff. And I said, I took all this from their own website. He doesn't know what's said from their own website. Like, what's going on with this guy? It's things like that I looked at this guy and I go, wow, how inept can one person be? What is going on here? And he's the head of marketing.
Well, we also had Shannon Loftus, who was head of first party, and we know how bad that's been. So are we going to give her a pass now that they hired all these studios, and once they start coming out with these more impelling games, are we going to just let her off the hook? I don't think she had anything to do with that. I just think that was the vision of what Phil Spencer had for the platform, and she's just going to benefit from it because she's in that position.
I don't give her a pass ever since she said that Recore was just.
Well, I'm not saying giving her a pass. I'm just saying, but you don't hear people talking about that situation anymore, though, because first party looks like it's going to be in a good state.
Yeah. But what was it? She said Recore was just as good as any other AAA game. Or something.
That's exactly what she said, which was asinine.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you're going to say, Fonz, man. I laugh every time people bring that up.
Yeah, but that's the whole story, though. It's like I agree with everybody. Aaron Brewer has not done a great job. He has not lived up to the expectations of what his job title is. But I don't want to throw anybody under a bus when it comes to what Microsoft's done in the last 5 years, because Microsoft as a whole hasn't done anything productive with the Xbox platform in the last 5 years other than features and bring out the Xbox One X.
Yes, okay, that's true. But who's the one? There's people that have different jobs within a company, and you have to hold certain people accountable. You just have to. You can't just look at the whole company and say you're all bad, you're all fired. I mean,
yeah.
There's steps people have to take. There's people that they have to answer to, and that sort of thing. So, but you have to take it one job at a time and just look at certain things like marketing. Aaron Greenberg, horrible this gen. Okay, I mean, where's the question there? I mean,
so he should be a casualty of war, basically, of what Microsoft was doing over the last 5 years.
He's not a casualty of war. He's a casualty of his himself.
But
his own job performance.
We can't defend the stuff he says. If you're just saying on the things that he's been saying over the last 5 years and the way he's been portraying himself on social media and stuff, I can agree with you. But I can't say the man has done a horrible job because Microsoft has done a horrible job, and they're the ones that cut the check for every damn thing. If they're not giving you the ability to do it, you can't hold him 100% liable for it.
Okay. Let's take this year for instance, because we know the checkbook has been open, and Microsoft, and now that they've been elevated from under Windows, they have their own budget. Microsoft has got stupid money. There should be no more excuses.
No excuses, right? Exactly. No excuses going forward.
So we see on the first party front, they've almost doubled the amount of first parties they have, and that's going to equal more games in the future. They improved the hardware. The hardware is now the best in the console space, as far as home consoles are concerned.
Yep.
They've improved in all these areas, but they're still bad at marketing. Why is Inside Xbox tailored to casuals who don't even know Inside Xbox exists?
I can't defend that. You're absolutely right.
Super dumb. Why do casuals not know what Game Pass is? Game Pass is better for casuals because hardcore gamers already own all those good games in Game Pass. But casuals should be playing Game Pass because they don't own those games. And they're going to have, for $10 a month, access to over 200 games and all your first party. Why aren't you blowing that up on every NFL commercial? This is what I'm talking about. This is smart marketing, not necessarily.
They don't have the money for it. Do you listen? This is what I keep saying.
No.
Listen.
The money's
checkbook.
Done.
No, listen.
Money is not an issue anymore.
The checkbook will probably open January and what? I forget when Microsoft's financial year starts. I think it's in March.
It's in February.
It's in February.
It's in March. It's in March.
So it's March, beginning of March. So that means Microsoft went into this. Think about it. E3 was what, 2-3 months after that. They already started the whole transition and buying all these studios. So they already decided that the bulk of the money for Microsoft is going to go to acquisitions and bringing more people and developers into the fold. So we don't know how much money they have allocated to other things. Of course, they still got to market the games that they got coming out. And I think Sea of Thieves, it had decent marketing. It pretty much got marketed by the community more than anything with the way Twitch was going with that game. So I don't really think Microsoft had a lot to do with that either.
Forte, let me ask you something though. When this whole streaming services, xCloud streaming service drops, how much do you want to bet there's going to be tons of marketing for that?
Oh, well, you talk about when is it going to get announced? Is it going to get announced this year? Is it going to be?
No. When it's pushed out, there will be tons of marketing for that. It's like choose what they push.
When they got to.
But here's the thing, you've got one of the best features under you for the casual gamer, as Slow-Mo said, in Game Pass, and that's not being pushed enough, in my opinion.
I agree, but who's to say that Aaron Greenberg has the final say on something that big? That's like picking between a service that you're rolling out that you want to hit 2 billion people with, and a service that's only going to benefit people that's either on the Xbox One or the people that's on PC with the Play Anywhere part of it. Which one are you going to go after? The bigger scope is the 2 billion people, so you're going to push for that more.
But they're marketing it to the wrong demographic.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm just saying.
So with whatever small budget that you think they have, they are mismanaging and misusing that small budget. It doesn't matter whether this happened. It's still happening back when it was Terry Myerson to now post Terry Myerson. Their marketing still sucks. Someone has to be held accountable. Put it
this way. March of next year, when the new financial year starts, do we think Aaron Greenberg will still be the head of marketing for Microsoft?
Probably.
So yes, we will. I think he will. I think he will too. But that question will be answered then. Once I think they have to put considerable marketing around XO, because I think he has a lot to do with that, because that is a big marketing campaign for your platform. So that needs to go off without a hitch. They have to have really good announcements. I think that has a lot to do with Aaron Greenberg, because that's up his wheelhouse. That's all marketed. Once we get to March of next year, we need to start seeing huge strides in what Microsoft does in the publishing side when it comes to that marketing and making sure that everybody knows what Microsoft has out there and available. If we don't see that next year in March going into E3, then you guys are absolutely right. He needs to lose his job. But before that, I just can't agree with it yet.
Yeah, Forte, they're going to be pushing every service they got in the book, because that's all they got right now. Services. And like Slow-Mo said earlier, I am tired of hearing.
Oh, I'm tired of it too. I'm with you.
And people are getting mad at me on Twitter for saying that. And like, look, I mean, what would you rather have? What? I mean, I asked a simple question, and people were mad at me because I said, why are you in this hobby? What's the main reason you're in this hobby? And I listed a poll with games there, and the other one was UI and UI. you know,
I said UI.
and then I had like chatting with friends, and people were actually picking UI over the games. That is their main reason to be in this hobby? I don't think so. I mean, why did we? I mean, on this panel. I mean, seriously, why did you all start gaming? Was it because you could chat with friends, or was it because of a game? Did a game suck you in?
Games all day, man.
And I don't understand why people are so gamers today are so confused and just they've got it twisted big time. And they're coming after me because I'm saying, hey, it should be about the games first. And because I said I'm not buying the next Scarlet or whatever you want to call it until they come out with games that suit my needs, that suit my wants.
I agree.
And I'm getting chastised for that because I just won't buy a console blindly anymore. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, and then they said, well, I'm being impatient. I've been waiting all gen for a great game on Xbox.
So I'm being impatient because I'm spending my money and I want something, you know, that I
validate my purchase. Right, I want them to validate my purchase.
I mean,
remember when the X came out?
Yeah, I'm not waiting to drive through McDonald's for some fries. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just be patient.
I'll wait to drive
hundreds of dollars.
They're good.
Well, here's the thing. You've got all these studios. These studios they bought up. It's a great thing. Great acquisitions. Amazing. But until I see the games that I want to play, because that's all that matters to me at the end of the day is what I want to play. And people get mad and say, well, it's not all about you. It is when it comes to my purchase. When it comes to my purchase, it is all about you as a gamer. It's you personally. Don't just buy things blindly because it has a good fucking UI. People, wake the fuck up.
I'm not gonna lie. That's one thing when I read your tweet, because I used to be one of those people that I love Xbox, I love Microsoft, I love everything about their platform. They brought a lot of the closest people I know in my life into my life because of Xbox. And I told myself I would buy the next Xbox just because I love Xbox. But even with these changes, and after reading your tweet, that kind of changed my perspective. I was like, you know, no matter what, I'm going to play games. I'm going to be able to still play these games. Microsoft already said that the Xbox One X will still play future games. So there's no reason for me to jump ship and just jump head first into another generation.
Let's say the Xbox comes out and there's no games that you want to play on there. Are you really going to feel great about that purchase because you can still chat with your friends?
Nope.
I mean, you might as well just sit around and play Uno all day on party chat.
Yes. Dude, you don't even really need an Xbox to play with your friends. To talk to your friends.
I'm not kidding. I've been in party chats with guys on Xbox, and this is not. I'm not trying to downplay the importance of wanting to play with friends and stuff. That's all great, but at the end of the day, it's always about the games. But I've been in party chats with some folks that aren't even playing games. They just want to sit there and interact with their buddies, and that's cool. I get that. That's awesome. That you can do something like that nowadays. And talk to other gamers and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have that console there for the video games. You do not have it there because you can chat with your friends. You have a cell phone you can pick up and call a friend.
You can do that on Discord.
I mean, real talk phones, like right now, like I can pick up my cell phone and party chat with everybody in my cell phone.
And
on the Xbox app.
I've done it.
And actually it works better than the Xbox itself. So yeah, you're right. It's like I don't need to pay like how much for a console for that. I can do that while gaming somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
So, Eric, I just think a lot of people have just lost sight of why we are in this hobby. I really do. And it scares me because this whole streaming service and everything, it's going to go to gaming eventually will go to shit. I'm not saying next console gen or the next one after that, but eventually it's going to go to shit because, I know you guys must have talked about the streaming service already.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been here for that.
Give us your 2 cents, brother.
I'll just give you my 2 cents. I'm cool for options. You know what? If you can play your games anywhere on any device, cool. And I understand from a business standpoint, that's amazing. That's an awesome thing. But when you think about it from a consumer standpoint, from a gamer standpoint, there's always going to be things that hinder your gameplay experience when you play on a cell phone opposed to a dedicated console box. And yes, it's not taking the place of a console right now, but that's the key thing right now. Eventually, if most gamers were to start adopting the streaming service, what would be the incentive for a company to keep making these expensive boxes, the R&D that goes into it, everything, just to appease a few gamers out there.
But it won't be just a few gamers at that point. Like I think, and we discussed it, like you said, we discussed this earlier. And look, it could be 22 decades from now, they're still going to be making physical hardware and physical disc or whatever format that, you know, that's advanced past Blu-ray that holds more memory at that point. There will always be physical media because there are always going to be people who don't want that. Same way you can still get a landline right now, even though cell phones dominate more than 90% of any telecommunication. But you can still get a landline if you want a landline.
I believe
the options will always be there.
Yeah, I believe you to a certain extent. I think some companies, yes, you will get that. But I could totally see a Microsoft saying, you know what? Why do we need all that? We've got all these great services that make us tons of money.
I think Microsoft, and like I said, I don't know 100%. No one knows this for 100%. I just believe that the moment that happened is the moment that you won't be able to tell the difference between a console and an online streaming service. Right. I think it has to get to the for me, it has to get to that point. I mean, if it gets to a point where you can literally load up a game and it feels like you're playing a system that's right there in front of you, then I'll be fine with it. But if it's not like that, then that's when we'll have the issue.
I'm not fine with it because you're still held to an internet connection. That is not cool for a lot of people. Look, for a lot of people,
I agree with you on that.
Not be held to that anyway. But for me personally, I can only speak for myself. I wouldn't want that with all my games. If the internet goes down in my household, you know, not even talking about Xbox or Sony going down, but if my internet goes down, I can't play certain games. I don't want that for everything.
It's kind of like that now, Fonz. If my internet goes down, it sucks. I can't play Destiny.
Well, I mean, that's the reality of gaming today. You remember when Lizard Squad did the DDoS attack on Christmas?
Yeah.
Who could play a PlayStation or Xbox game? Nobody.
You can't even log into Xbox. Like if you get your Xbox on day one for Christmas and you're in no internet, you can't even set up the Xbox. You got to have internet the first time you set up your Xbox.
But I did say that, you know, next gen. Yes, we have consoles. The next gen after, I'm sure we'll have consoles for sure. But the thing is, you know, my other thing that I had a problem with this whole thing is all these people that came out the woodwork championing this streaming service when these were the same people that were talking shit about streaming services just a few months ago.
Oh, well, you know what that's about.
Oh, yeah, you know what that's about.
That's console war.
Console wars.
That's console war BS right there. That's just people playing Twitter games and not real games.
But that just shows
the Twitter games.
But that just shows you the level of ridiculousness that this console war is really about. Like it's really dumb. People are fighting over the stupidest shit, and they're constantly being hypocrites all the time. And yet,
every day it's like the same people every day. I'm like, when does it get old?
It doesn't. Not for them in their community.
Yep.
You know, these unpaid interns. You know, they have to really. You know, they don't want to get fired, you know, by the company that don't know they exist. So they have to, you know, go hard on Twitter for them. They have to.
Did you read
the jobs on the line?
I don't know if you guys read my initial post on this situation, but I said, look, you know, I didn't like PS Now. I don't like, you know, this streaming service either. I'm just not into streaming services. And people jumped to conclusions thinking I was saying that streaming service wasn't an option. And I even had a certain somebody that came at me that I won't name him, but he works for a certain company in question here.
I already know you're talking about.
and he was jumping on me about it as if I was saying that there wasn't going to be a next console or something. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm just a gamer who was explaining that I do not like streaming services. I've tried it with PS Now. I've tried it with NVIDIA Shield. I don't care for the streaming game. Yeah. I don't like it.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Foz, because you were one of the people that tried it. Is your thought process on this based on just your experiences with streaming services overall?
Of course. And that's what it should be for most people when they talk about something in a negative light. I want to know, well, do you have any experience with it? you know, and some people, you know, they don't understand it. They want to jump to a conclusion. It's always about this console war. It's always thinking one step ahead of the other guy, and they're thinking automatically, oh, he's a pony just talking shit. Well, I just said that PS Now sucks.
Right.
You know, but where are you guys at that said that sucks, but now xCloud is suddenly amazing? It's still streaming, man. And if you read the fine print, it needs 10 megabits down to work properly. This isn't like 3 that was being thrown around a few months ago when this was all being speculated. There was a lot of, you know, Xbox dudes saying it's going to be you're going to need very low bandwidth and stuff. You're not going to need high download speeds. 10 is pretty substantial. Not everybody has 10 megabits.
I think
the vast majority of the country has at least 10. I would say probably about 85% of the United States has at least 10 megs. But I think the bigger issue is data caps. Because, you know, if you're going to be playing primarily through streaming, you know, the vast majority of this country is now, well, I'm not the vast, but the majority of the country is on broadband now. And of course, there are the pockets of places like in Texas and in the Midwest where they don't have any broadband access. But the majority company does have broadband, but they also have data caps with their broadband, which would then is a bigger issue than strictly can I even stream this, because once you hit that cap, these ISPs want your arm, a leg, your firstborn, and your soul for any additional, you know, any additional data. So and then if we talk about mobile, when you're out on the road, people are using examples of I can play on my phone while I'm at work. Well, net neutrality never even included mobile data. So you know, that's you know, whether you have unlimited data is all determined by your mobile provider, and they are unlikely
what they deem as unlimited data.
Yeah, and they are unlikely to exclude. Like I have T-Mobile, and they exclude Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and a whole bunch of apps. They ain't going to exclude no game streaming. And it's just a whole different area.
And let's not even get to the point where they throttle you too when you use a certain amount of data every month. They also throttle you, and that is going to be happening to people as well, because yes, the mass majority, well, I think this country is, honestly, the last time I checked, I think it was around 18 megs down was like the average in the country as a whole. But I know a lot of people that have under 10 megs downloads. And I play with them, and a lot of times, yes, they do get kicked and stuff, because even let's say you have an 18 meg down, let's say you have a 20 meg down. Are you really getting all that speed? No,
you never get the full.
And they're constantly, and they're constantly, you know, if you have like cable internet, it depends on all your neighbors and everything, what time of day and everything. There's a lot of factors involved with game streaming, and it's just one of the reasons I just do not like this type of service. And you know, you have Video Game Virus in the chat that mentioned that he feels like it's a scam to him because he never gets to touch the games, or, you know, it's like you don't really own it. It's just there. It's like almost a rental, you know, and I get it, but it's much like digital downloads in that respect too. And I get why digital downloads can be great. Like for me, I do some digital downloading because I game share with my kids, and I buy one copy of a game and we both enjoy it. And it saves me $60 that way, right? But with streaming a game, I don't know how that's going to benefit me if there's going to be anything like that, if there's any incentive as well, you know, in that situation. And, and again, you always get the problem with the data caps with the streaming. You're not getting all the internet speeds or whatever certain times of day if you're on cable or whatnot. I don't know. I'm just not looking forward to a time where everything goes streaming, and a lot of people say they are like they're happy about this. They're like, this is just like Netflix, this is going to be amazing. And I'm like, no, it's not. You know, at least be able to download the game, because I want it on the hardware. I don't know if you guys ever played PS Now, but if you've played PS Now or even in Nvidia Shield, when you're playing through the game, it's not just that little bit of lag that happens sometimes. It's also the graphic fidelity gets horrible at times when your internet fucking goes low or whatever. It looks terrible.
Well, but this will be my last part, and I do want to just say the other side of it too. Technology is moving fast, and I always kind of, when it comes to technology, when I see a company being aggressive in pricing and really kind of removing barriers of entry to get people into something, it tells me that they have confidence in their product. And so Microsoft offering that their Scarlet Cloud box, rumored to be at like $100 or $125. That's way cheaper than anything. That's cheaper than what Nintendo, puts their stuff at. And their stuff is usually cheaper than Sony and Microsoft. That kind of tells me they have confidence in their product. Verizon is the first to go to 5G, and I think they won't be the only one at 5G in another 5 years from now. What they're offering, and they've already started in 4 cities in the United States. What they're offering, 400 meg download, no data caps, no contracts. And they're offering it in some places, like in Texas, where you definitely got a data cap or you don't have anything at all. And the way, if you look at how the technology works, it's going to be a way for you to even walk out of your house and not just be able to access that service while you're at home, but do it while you're away, because it's going to be a huge tower hitting a full area with and it's just like the way that technology works is going to be really interesting. So I do want to say that, like, yeah, I 100% agree with you, Fonz, about how streaming looks right now. But at one point in time, people said, I'm not going to watch my movies on the internet. I got Blockbuster. And we're Blockbuster, and people ain't complaining about that today. And now, instead of watching their movies on VHS, they're looking at them in a higher fidelity in 4K and Dolby Vision on a streaming service. So
I guess I'm in the minority, because I do watch Netflix and stuff for TV shows, but when it comes to movies, I still buy physical.
Oh, I buy physical too, just because of
that high bit rate, disc, nothing.
Yeah, I get you. I do that too. But also, I make sure to get the digital one that has all of the like. It comes with a
triple pack.
Yeah, it comes with that HD digital copy, as well as the Blu-ray UHD. That's the version I get. So I feel you. Like I'll watch my movies through my Blu-ray, as well as, like, I know my family don't care. And when they want to watch the Avengers, they want to watch it, off of our Roku.
But you see, that's the thing. We're in a generation of gamers where they don't really care. They don't, like, there's a lot of younger gamers coming up that don't really care if it's streaming. If it plays good, looks good, it's good for them. They don't give a shit. They don't think about anything else. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't subscribe to that. Like, I guess I'm just too old school gamer. I can't just wrap my head around. And it's not being that I'm old and I can't just go on with new things and everything, because I'm fine with technology and innovation, but I know what's best, and I know what can be better. And having a physical disc is always going to be better than having it stream. I'm sorry, whatever it is, movies, games, music, having that disc is always better.
Oh, I agree 100%. And that's and most of it comes down to, like you said, data and stuff. And I have it on the screen right now so you can see it. This is my data usage for since April of this year. And I have Comcast Xfinity, so I got the one terabyte limit that I can go to. And this is just downloads, like people streaming like movies, my kids playing Roblox online, YouTube all the time, and some of these things are pretty ridiculous. Like July was 1,900, almost 1,000 or 2,000 gigs. This is like kind of crazy if you want to think how it's going to be if you're starting a streaming service and you have data caps. Now, I think once we get to that point, data caps might be a thing that is a thing of the past, because I think they'll have to negotiate some type of repayment just so people can actually access these services, because as of the way stuff is right now, unless you live in a certain area where your cable provider doesn't make you have data caps, it's going to be real hard for people to adopt just a streaming nature. And that's why I don't think this is going to happen for a while. I think 10, 15, probably 20 plus years, that's when you'll see something like this. Because I think I think America at least is ready, like internet, the infrastructure is probably ready enough to do it, because I think a lot of people have over that 10 megabits per second download. But depending on where you live, 1900 gigs, 1800 gigs. I mean, this month alone, I'm at 481, and I'm only 10 days into my plan. So I can only imagine where that's going to end up by the end of this month with all the games coming out. So, this is the thing that most people need to worry about outside of anything else. As long as we got an option to buy our games and have a system in your house, you don't have this to worry about. And that's what I think what Fonz is really getting at. Don't ever take that option away from me. Because if you take that option away from me, we all know plugging a pair of headphones into your receiver or into your controller is way better than wireless. But the more and more we get away from that, that's when you start losing a lot of the fidelity and stuff overall.
Here's what's messed up in my area. It's a monopoly. Okay, I can only have Comcast, and they started this whole 1 terabyte thing a month, and I was going over that terabyte with all my kids and me. Streaming, watching movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff, right? That was going down in the house. I'm going over all the time. So I call them up. I'm like, well, don't you have like an unlimited plan or whatever? Yeah. It's $50.
$50 a month.
Extra. 50.
Yep.
How
50.
crazy is that? On top of the $80 I'm paying?
Yep. I pay it. Trust me. $50.
And that's the problem. Like, we are not ready for all this, man. We don't have enough companies that are giving us, the speeds we need at a decent price. I mean, most people don't know this, but they think that when they have this Netflix or whatever they're streaming on, if it's 4K, they think they're getting that 4K stream. You're not getting it unless you have 25 megs down. You're not getting it.
Yeah.
You need at least 25 megs to even watch 4K streaming. You are getting a substandard picture. You're getting a picture that's underneath 4K. You are not getting full 4K. You're not.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Guys, great conversation. I do need to wrap up because got to get to bed. I got to get to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Who works?
You're right. No, but
you already got a job. It's called a kid.
Yeah.
In that 4K club.
No,
4K club, yeah. No, but seriously, great conversation, guys. And Jay Fonz, man, gotta get you back on again. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been too long, guys. I'm sorry to come in and just start this whole shit storm or whatever. I'm just like,
I respect your opinion, man. So
yeah.
Always love your opinion, Jay Fonz. I'm saying you got to get you back on, man. It's been too long. So
yeah, dude, it's always great to talk with you guys, man. B Money and Eric, it's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it's been too long, man.
Always, man.
Forte, great.
I miss you on Destiny, man. You've been on PlayStation too much.
I've been on both, and I've been on both. I do it at weird times, man, because I work graveyards. So.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right, so gentlemen, great shows always. And to everyone in the live chat, thank you for stopping by, hanging out with us this evening. Great conversation in the live chat as well. So, hey, by the way, B, big shout out to Cal, man. He was in the live chat for a little bit. If you saw him.
Was it? No, I didn't even pay attention, man.
Yeah, we got
the Golden State Lakers game, man.
We got to go.
Oh yeah, what's the score of that game right now?
It's 41 Golden State, 37 Lakers.
All right.
That's a little closer than it needs to be.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. We'll be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone, please have a great rest of the week playing video games. Peace.
Peace.
Later, guys.